Noraly Schoenmaker's journey is often seen from the outside as a story of extreme adventure and freedom, but its origins lie in a far more complex and painful personal collapse. Before she became widely recognized for solo motorcycle travel across continents, she lived a structured and stable life, shaped by career, relationships, and long-term plans. However, a major turning point in 2018 shattered that stability and forced her into a complete break from everything familiar. What followed was not a planned transformation, but a forced reset that led her through instability, survival challenges, and ultimately self-reinvention across multiple countries. 1. A structured life. Built on stability. Before 2018, Noraly Schoenmaker lived a life that appeared secure and well-established by conventional standards. She worked as a professional geologist, a field that required technical expertise and offered consistent financial stability. Her career involved international assignments, allowing her to travel for fieldwork and scientific projects while maintaining a reliable income. Alongside her professional success, she owned a home in the Netherlands and was in a long-term committed relationship. From the outside, her life represented balance and achievement. Career, property, and partnership formed a stable system that provided predictability, direction, and a strong sense of control over the future. 2. Early signs of independence and curiosity. Although her life was structured, there were subtle indications of an independent and exploratory mindset. Noraly had previously owned and ridden motorcycles, including a Ducati Monster 796, reflecting a personal interest in risk, movement, and autonomy. Her professional work as a geologist also exposed her to remote environments, diverse cultures, and unpredictable field conditions. These experiences quietly shaped her adaptability and resilience. While they did not disrupt her stable routine, they created an internal contrast between structured living and the freedom of movement. Over time, these elements built an underlying foundation for change, even though her external life still appeared fully settled and predictable. 3. The turning point and betrayal. The stability of Noraly's life collapsed in 2018 when she discovered that her long-term partner had been engaged in a prolonged affair. This was not an isolated incident, but a sustained breach of trust that undermined the foundation of their relationship. The realization was immediate and deeply destabilizing, ending the shared future she had built over years. What made this moment significant was not only the emotional impact, but the destruction of trust that supported her entire life structure. The relationship ended, and with it disappeared the sense of security, direction, and emotional certainty that had defined her personal world. 4. The collapse of a life structure. Following the betrayal, the consequences unfolded rapidly and affected every part of her life. Noraly was forced to sell her home, which was both a financial asset and an emotional anchor tied to her past stability. Her long-term plans dissolved, and her professional focus weakened under emotional strain. Daily routines that once provided structure no longer felt meaningful. The sense of predictability she had relied on was replaced by uncertainty. Even her understanding of past decisions began to shift as she reassessed her life through the lens of broken trust. This period marked a complete collapse of the system she had built over years. 5. A decision to leave everything behind. In response to this breakdown, Noraly made a decisive break from her former life. She resigned from her job, disposed of most of her belongings, and reduced her commitments to the bare minimum required for departure. Rather than gradually rebuilding in the same environment, she chose total displacement. She purchased a one-way ticket to India without a detailed long-term plan or guaranteed income. This decision was not driven by comfort or opportunity, but by the absence of any remaining structure to return to. Leaving became the only clear option, representing both an escape from emotional collapse and the beginning of an uncertain transition. 6. Arrival in India and early struggles. Upon arriving in India, Noraly faced immediate challenges of survival and adaptation. Her initial plan to support herself through travel writing and blogging did not generate sufficient income. She attempted to pitch articles and establish freelance opportunities, but responses were limited and inconsistent. Without financial stability, she lived in modest conditions, often navigating unfamiliar environments alone. The combination of emotional recovery and practical uncertainty made this period particularly difficult. She had no established network, predictable income, or long-term structure. Instead, she was forced to rely on resilience, improvisation, and gradual adaptation to an entirely new and unpredictable environment. 7. The emergence of motorcycle travel. During her time in India, motorcycles became a central element in her evolving journey. What began as a means of mobility gradually transformed into a deeper form of exploration and independence. Riding offered her direct engagement with landscapes, cultures, and challenges in a way that conventional travel did not. It also provided structure during a period of instability, allowing her to move forward physically, even when her personal life felt uncertain. This phase marked the beginning of a new identity rooted in travel, through endurance and self-reliance. Motorcycle journeys became both a practical solution and a symbolic path toward rebuilding her sense of direction. 8. Rebuilding through continuous travel. As her travels expanded beyond India, Noraly began to reconstruct her life through consistent movement and storytelling. She documented her journeys, sharing experiences of remote regions, road challenges, and cultural encounters. Over time, this evolved into a sustained form of independent work that combined travel with content creation. Financial stability gradually improved as her audience grew and her experiences gained recognition. More importantly, she developed a system that allowed her to operate independently across countries without relying on traditional employment structures. This phase marked a shift from survival-driven movement to a more stable form of self-directed living, built on exploration. 9. Transformation through repeated uncertainty. By the later stages of her journey, Noraly's transformation was defined not by a single event, but by sustained adaptation to uncertainty. Each phase of hardship, isolation, and logistical challenge contributed to her ability to function independently under pressure. Instead of returning to the stability she once had, she built a new form of stability based on mobility and resilience. Her identity shifted from someone reacting to personal collapse to someone capable of navigating complex environments continuously. The outcome of her journey reflects a gradual reconstruction of self, shaped by experience rather than initial planning or external structure. Conclusion: Noraly Schoenmaker's story is not a simple narrative of adventure, but a layered process of loss, displacement, and rebuilding. What began as a stable and predictable life was dismantled by personal betrayal, forcing a complete break from her established world. The years that followed were marked by uncertainty, adaptation, and gradual transformation through travel and experience. Rather than returning to her previous life, she constructed a new identity shaped by independence and endurance. Her journey illustrates how collapse can become a starting point, and how sustained movement through uncertainty can lead to a fundamentally different way of living.